All right, I hope this one's interesting for you guys. A lot of people have asked about it. So a lot of you guys don't comment and ask a lot of questions, but you would not believe the people that actually call. I end up with a lot of conversations on the phone quite regularly. Let me move this to a different spot. Talking to customers, and I don't mind it when I have time, but sometimes I do have to cut people short because obviously we have a lot going on when you look around. We were just across the street earlier in the other showroom. If you didn't watch that video, it's about us buying collections and how purchasing goes and how a lot of your time can be wasted trying to sell things on your own these days. And I didn't even mention scams and all the other problems. We completely forgot that on that video, Kristen. But this video is how to make $1 million in the car business. And you hear this reference a lot of times, especially when it's boat. I hear it with the boat guys all the time, so that's where you hear it. But I'm going to give you guys a breakdown on some real estate. I know that's not what you came here for, but the truth of the matter is real estate is a strong investment, and a lot of you guys ask, how do you do it? How do you get to that level? How do you do what you do? Some people are asking about the car lot. I want to start a car lot. I want to start a shop. I want to do things. How do you do it? I don't mind giving the best advice I can, but a lot of cases I tell people, you better stick to working at DuPont or Philip Morris or wherever you're working, because it is a risky business, and in a lot of freaking ways. Pause it real. All right, speaking of how business goes, can't ever avoid a phone call. Sorry about that, guys, we're back. So how do you make $1 million in the car business? Start with 2 million, and you real quickly end up with 1 million. You can do the math. It's not quite the direction that I would like to see things go, or most people would like to see things go, unfortunately. So car business, shops, things like that. The problem is these days it takes a huge amount of commitment in time, and it takes a huge amount of commitment in money. The vehicles are not free. You have to go out and buy them. The shop, you got to have tires and wheels and inventory and machinery, and then you got to have employees. It is just a huge monumental, and I'm the first, because my dad always did it, my granddad always did it. We're the first to try to tell somebody, you know, you should do it. And I've helped lots of shops open up on their own, but they got ahead of it before the things changed so much. Interest rates are high. If you got to go take out a loan, say you go take out $1 million business loan to get started, that payment is huge. That payment comes every month. Doesn't matter if you're working, not working, busy or slow, that payment still comes. And $1 million would hardly do anything these days unless you really got lucky. No different than the car business, no different than a lot of businesses, but real estate. And a lot of you real estate investor guys are going to hate me for making this video, but it's just common sense. It's always been common sense. And how did I get to the point of doing so much real estate? Buying, selling, doing flip houses, and doing rentals, both commercial and residential. And I'll get into a whole lot more of that on another video about commercial versus residential. I just stood back as a kid and looked at my customer base. We had a good customer that would show up in a Prevost motorhome with a super nice trailer behind it, going to a car show once a year, take off a whole month to go to this car show and go to Florida. I asked my dad, I said, what does that guy do? Real estate. Got another customer that he stays kind of low key, but you can tell he's got nice cars, he's got nice things, but he's a very private man. And he would buy a lot of cool stuff from us. And I asked my dad, I said, what does he do? Real estate. Not that other businesses didn't make good money. At that same time, we had a guy that owned a roofing company. He was making good money. Had a guy who, owned a construction company. He made good money. Those guys were they were competing with each other. But the common goal was always real estate. The real estate people always won. So at the age of, I think, 18, I think I had to wait till 18, if I remember correctly, to buy my first property, because you had to legally be 18 to own something or sign a contract, and a contract for a deed to own a piece of property. That was before I even moved away from home. And then I bought another one. And I went on a goal to try to buy one a year. Then I bought my very first house. And that's the one I'm going to use as an example, because I was there this weekend getting some stuff out of a shed, which I still maintain on that property. And the video you saw about what did we find, that was from that property. So I drop a little picture in here and a little quick clip of the video. Beautiful facility. Drop that in right now, pause it, and we'll start putting some stuff on the board. So normally we use this board for square body school. Square body school is fun. It's real fun, but square body school doesn't make money. But people do love square body school. We're going to change the page today to do something new. And again, this is not trade secrets, but I do feel good about sharing it a little bit because we do have a younger demographic. I've seen our demographic spread. It used to be all 40 to 60 year olds, like almost all, and like 1% female. Now it's like 10, 15% female, and the demographic has spread to a nice V. Still 40 to 60 year olds, but there's a lot of 20, 30 year olds in there too. If you're young, this is where you can get ahead of time. So this first house, I bought for $120,000. It was about what the market was, and it was a nice house. I don't know, it's probably just shy of 2,000 square feet, about an acre lot, nice neighborhood. Bought that house for $120,000. So, and I've been renting this house for almost 20 years this year, so that's where we'll go with that. Aside from that, I did live in this house. A lot of people ask, why'd you move? Because it's a beautiful house. The garage door was not big enough, and I couldn't raise it. So I had a guy, and I'll tell you, I'm tight with some things, so I had a guy come out. Now, this was 20-some years ago. I had a guy come out, and he was going to raise the garage, put an extra 3 foot of foundation, and I could park my truck inside. And I really wish I'd brought some pictures to put in there with my truck sitting outside. It killed me to have my trucks outside. And it was going to be like $20,000. He was going to crane it up, lay the block, put it back down. The door would be big. It was cool. $20,000 is a lot of money. So I said, what did it cost for you to build this the right way with longer timbers, you know, longer 2x4s or 2x6s, if we just redid it all? He said, well, if you did it on the foundation you got, like $20,000. And I was like, well, dang, I don't want to spend that and just have my old building again. You know, the roof was old, whatever. So I ended up building a big carport. And then unfortunately, my trucks got bigger, my trucks got wider. They wouldn't fit through the gate anymore. So I bought a new house, built a new garage. Long story short. But for 20 years, just using round numbers, this year, I've been renting this house. Started off at $1,200. That was a little bit high for industry standard at the time, but I'd done nice tile, I had a hot tub, had a carport, a garage, so it had some amenities, and I had a good friend move in there right away. After he moved out years later, I think it went to 13, 14. Anyway, it's $1,700 currently. It's actually a little low for industry standard right now, but I've got a great tenant that doesn't call, doesn't bug me. He's a handyman, so probably could get $2,000 a month, but it's $1,700. I don't have to worry about anything. He takes care of it. So in 20 years, several things have happened. I've collected this rent, so I just did an average of like $1,500 a month across that 20 years. That way we'd have a good line item there. And doing that has brought in $360,000. Not bad. But the other thing is, this asset, the house, probably spelled that wrong, has gone up. Current Zillow, now everything's different, but in this area, Zillow sometimes is a little low, but Zillow is $336,000. So the house has gone up and rent has come in. Now, yes, there's been expenses. The HVAC went bad, finally, after all these years. What I put in probably will never last as good as what was in there, but I did have to spend like $6,000 on that just last summer. And aside from that, I put gravel in the driveway. I had to put some gutters up, fix some things over time. But the cool thing is, this will blow you guys' mind to do rental properties. I've only had 1 month of no rent. I've always had, when the first guy moved out, his friend moved in. When that friend moved out, a sister moved in. I've never had but one time, which was this most recent time when this fellow moved in, that there was a lapse in rental. 1 month only. That's what gets a lot of people, because a lot of people have multiple I have a lot of rental properties. A lot of people have a lot of rental properties, but they get a couple, 3, 4, 5 vacancies at one time, and then they got to do some remodeling, and that downtime kills them because they get upside down. They're used to having that, 1,700 times 5 coming in, and they don't, or whatever, and it puts them in a bad spot. So don't ever get yourself in a bind. Just like I tell people with business all the time, have at least as much money as you're spending in your account, because you never know what's going to happen. Things can happen, things can break. So you take these two numbers, and let's just say I've spent $20,000 over time. HVAC was the biggest expense I've ever had. It was about $6,000. But let's just say I had $20,000 in expenses, so I still brought in $340,000. You add that to the $336,000 that it's now currently worth, and we're at $676,000. Not bad. If I wanted to sell it today, I've basically taken a $120,000 investment and turned it into $676,000. Now you could have invested it some other areas. 20 years is a long time. It probably would have grown, but you would have had some risk. But I still have this house at all times that I could liquidate, or I could just do this. So my plan is, I'm 47 years old, is to go another 10 years. So let's just do 10, and I know the rent's going to go up. Might end up at $2,500, but I just estimated it $2,000. So let's just say $2,000 brings in another $204,000 rental money. And by that point, if you do the average of how much it's grown, the house is going to be probably over $500, but let's just call it, now it's gone up to $500. Easy numbers. No way it's going to be less than that. It's probably going to be more. So it's continuing to climb. This is always going up. This is always coming in. You can go blow this. You can go snort it up your nose. You can go buy sports cars. You can just throw your money out the window, or you could continue to invest it, which is what I do. I let this build up, and then I go buy another house. Then I go buy another house. So house, house, house. Each house continues. Well, I forgot to say, to watch the rest of this video, you got to pay $9.99 for this. Because everybody else wants to sell this program. This is the program everybody gets on those infomercials and sells you. It's real life, right here. Like, you don't have to buy this information. I didn't buy this information. I just learned it. I had a house. It brought in money. What did I do with my money? I bought more stuff, and I bought more stuff, and I bought more stuff. Smart things. Not that I can go buy a remote control car or something silly every now and then, but for the most part, you keep investing. Real estate is always an investment. Christian behind the camera is a great example from his family. They've done the same thing, and they have done very well doing it. They've had some really lucky calls along the way, and some really cool things happen. But real estate always works. Real estate was something I even saw with them. Like, I can go with 100 examples. Like, I use my brain to find things out ahead of time, but everything I looked at always made sense. Reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. So if I did my math right, if we go 10 more years, with these numbers, the rent continues to come in, it goes up a little bit, the value goes up to here, I am at $1,044,000. If I decide at 57, I want to cash out. Maybe it's 60. 62, I think, is retirement age, or 65. I don't know where it is. So I can keep on going. This is going to keep on going up. This is going to keep on going up. This is going to keep on going up. But here's where I'm at in 10 more years. And if I decide, okay, I want to sell off a property a year to live comfortably, each year that other property stays, it's going up. It's going up. These properties over here are going up. They're going up. So you can take a very minimum investment. Matter of fact, you don't even have to have an investment. You could let the people pay for it if you had a mortgage on it. If you had a mortgage on this and the rent's going to pay it, if it worked out right, then you'd have no expense to start with, and then you'd have an asset, a growing asset, a growing asset, a growing asset that's paid for. But one a year, just take it like that. Say you got 20, 30, 40, 50 properties, however many it is, depending on how long you're going to live, you can just start selling them off, one by one by one. But they're never going to get any less valuable, here or here. Rent goes up, price of house goes up. Why does rent go up? Because price of house goes up. So the guy that doesn't want to buy a house in this neighborhood, where a house costs $336,000, and his mortgage would be, with PMI and everything else, it'd be $2,500 or something. I don't know. It'd be a fair amount of money. He can rent for less. Then if he decides his business moves him somewhere else, he can leave. He doesn't have to sell his house. So there's reasons people rent. In this case, you rent cheaper than you own. I always encourage owning. Always. Same thing with customers. I don't encourage them putting it on a credit card. Pay for it. Don't have debt. But here's a perfect example of what real estate will do for you. And I just kind of dumbed it down. I hope this makes sense. I'm not one of these guys, Grant Cardone or any of these people that sell you a program or make you come to their class. Those guys are probably going to hate this, But this is all they can sell you. This is it. They can't sell you a different plan. There's not a different plan. They can tell you a creative way to get the money, but there is no different plan. At the end of the day, this is the way it works. This is the only way it works. You invest, you get a return. You can put your money in the stock market. You can put your money in a lot of places. We saw what the stock market did last week. It took a whole big poo-poo. Now it's coming back, but it could have gone the other way. COVID, who knows what happens with COVID? Things go down, then they come back up, but you're riding that wave. This wave right here doesn't really change. During COVID, though, I will say, this number was close to 400. I was really, really, really considering, because of my initial investment, letting a few of these houses go. I actually have a few in this same neighborhood. But I said I'm going to take it for the long haul. So now it's worth a little less. But guess what? We're out of COVID now. That was 4 years ago. This kept coming in all the time. So real estate's a great investment. I'm not saying you can't make it in the car business either. I'm not saying you can't make it in the shop business. I'm not saying you can't make it in the t-shirt business or the door business or the roof business or the light business or the fan business. There's a lot of businesses and a lot of people do it. It's all going to depend on how much effort you put in as to how much you get out of it. And people ask that question to me all the time, and I can tell sometimes when they ask it to me, they're just looking for a quick buck. Like they're just like, man, can I just start flipping this stuff? I'm gonna buy a go-kart and then I'm gonna flip it for twice as much. And you can, yeah, but you're not gonna ever get anywhere. Like it's just not gonna get you anywhere. And then I can tell there's some that really struggle with they wanna do better and they wanna do more. And they're willing to put in 80 or 90 hours a week. They're willing not to take a week's vacation. They're willing to drive a raggedy car because they need to put the cars on the car lot, not in their garage. They're willing to sacrifice some things. As long as you don't sacrifice from your family, that's okay. Just don't take away from your family. Sacrifice your toys. Sacrifice your hobbies. You're not going to go fishing on Saturday. You're going to be at work on Saturday. I worked Saturdays until just recently forever, and now on my Saturdays, sometimes I have to deal with stuff at the marina or elsewhere. 6 days a week, 7 days a week if it takes it. Early mornings, late nights. You got to put in the effort. It's not going to happen. People are not going to do it for you. You got to have a good team. You got to have good employees. You got to have a good infrastructure. And thankfully, we've grown ours. So a lot of people look at what we've done and they're really like, I want to do that tomorrow. It's just not going to happen. Like it's just, can you do it? Sure. But you're going to debt yourself to death. And a lot of people just simply look at what I've done and they're like, how'd you do it? Would you sell drugs? Like, no. What? You inherit some money? Nope. Well, I'll take that back. My grandfather left me $500 and I put it in stock. I put it in stock bonds, I should say. Bonds. I still have them. So they're growing, but I took that $500 and I think I bought 5 $100 bills and of stock bonds, whatever you call them, savings bonds. That's my inheritance. Just have a good work ethic. Be smart. It's not inherited. I didn't win the lottery. A lot of people have windfalls. They inherit a ton of money. They win the lottery. They sell drugs. I don't know. A lot of people have some cash flow that you just look at and you're like, how'd that happen? Well, you also have to remember, we've been reinvesting in this company and reinvesting in this company. My father did it. I've done it. We've been entrepreneurs. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My great-grandfather was an entrepreneur. Dad was. Now I am. My brothers, so we've stayed in it for the long haul. We've had our ups. We've had our downs. We've had some very tight times, but we enjoy what we do. We love it, and it's a passion. And I wouldn't be here making this video if it wasn't. But real estate, guys, don't go in over your head. Don't go take out a bunch of debt. Don't mortgage stuff. Don't put a third mortgage on your personal house to do it. That's not smart. Keep your separate finances for your family straight. You don't want to put your family in a hardship. But if you got extra money to do something, real estate wins every time. Sorry for you guys that sell this as a class. You just got it for free, but that's my 2 cents on it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support. Come buy a truck so we lose less money this week. Thanks a lot. All right, Christian brought up a good example, so I'm glad he paused the video. So why is rental always going to be stable? Well, during COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs. They might have been living in $336,000 houses. They might have been living in $1 million houses. They might have been living in $120,000 houses, but they lost it. So now they have a repossession or a foreclosure on their credit. They can't buy again right now. They will down the road be able to buy again, but they currently can't. So they're going to come and rent. Also, people that travel and change jobs a lot, they rent. People that don't realize what it really costs. So like you look at this and you do the little Zillow quick thing, it only shows the payment. It doesn't show the taxes. It doesn't show the insurance, PMI, all the other things that come along with a mortgage. So real quickly, you can rent for cheaper than you can own. And some people only have a certain budget that they can allot for that. This might be 25 and that only might be 2, but there's always going to be a difference there too. So anyway, rental's always going to be stable for a lot of reasons, and that's one of the major ones. There's more that you guys can throw in the comments about why you rent. Some people want to get their first step out on a home purchase and they're not strong enough to buy, so they have to rent. Then they get stuck in this rental rut and they keep renting and keep renting and keep renting for a long time. And never buy. Buy if you can. I'm always encouraging that. But buy it, then get better and get better and get better and keep these and rent them and rent them and rent them. Did I hit all the points you think? Absolutely. Cool. Well, I'm glad he pointed that out because some people be like, why is rental solid? Rental's solid for that exact reason right there. Rental is solid because of the fact there's always going to be people that have to. Why would they build all these apartments everywhere? They build all these apartments because of the fact people need a place to live and they'd rather do it this way than this way. It's okay. Everybody's different. But make the right choice. Here's your class again. Drop $9.99 on Venmo or Cash App to us for your lesson for today, and we'll do a subscription. We'll keep charging you. Probably won't bring any more content because I gave it all to you right here. One shot done. So thanks, guys.